Hello everybody, welcome to Farmer Brown's Paradise. We have a garden group here today, and this is my friend Glenn. I'm going to let him introduce himself to you and his group and tell you why they're here.
I'm Glenn Hoveden, the Vice President of the Autauga County Master Gardeners Association, and I've been following Janet's videos and following the rain gutter growth system for quite some time now. So I thought, since my job as Vice President is to line up tours of different interesting places for our group. And today we have, I think, 12 people from the Autauga County Master Gardeners out of Prattville, Alabama. And we're going to tour Janet and Randy's garden and learn more about the rain gutter grow system and the grow bag system and the kiddie pool system. And we're just looking for enjoyable, entertaining, and informative day. And we thank you and Randy for inviting us.
Well, we're glad you're here, and hopefully I'll try to be very entertaining.
You always are.
Well, when the tour began, we had a little trouble with sound, so I am doing a voiceover. In this part of the video, I'm explaining to them about the boxes that we built and the companion plants that we planted to try to surround the garden to help with drawing in beneficial insects and luring others away. We moved into the area where my tomatoes are planted, and in this section of the video I am explaining about the gutters and how the float works and how it is tied into our water source. I picked up a 5-gallon bucket here to show them the net cup so that they could see how the wick works in the system. Additionally, I explained that we cover the net cup with landscape fabric not to keep the potting mix from escaping, but to keep the roots from escaping so much into the gutter. Now at this point, I was showing and explaining how the net cups wick up 12 inches and outward 12 inches. And here's another beautiful companion plant.
And there are some cucumbers and some rattlesnake pole beans coming on. This row here with the netting, I have a terrible time with squash vine doors. I don't know if y'all do. But they just, and squash bugs too. So this year, since we built these gutter covers, it was easy to add the netting to it to protect them. I do have to come out and hand pollinate every morning if there are females out there. A lot of times it's just male blossoms, until it really starts going. We did these covers last year remember when we had the tropical storm come in and we'd had so much rain. Last year was a horrible gardening year with all the rain. These things were just getting drenched. The nutrients were going out, so I got out my sketch pad again, much to Randy's chagrin. And we built these. Actually, there was a funny video in the end because we really messed up several times until we got it right.
So that's to keep the rain off.
It's to keep the rain off. I mean, we don't need rain because it's self-watering. And if you get too much rain, you wash out all your nutrients. And then down here on these two, bush beans and peppers.
It was extremely hot and humid, so before moving on to where we planted our corn in the kiddie pool setup, we stood in the shade and talked a bit. I explained about the different experiments that I am doing this year out in the garden, and also carried over to those same experiments actually in the kiddie pool.
As I was explaining to the group that was here, I've done tests with each of the 5 bags of corn. The tallest one, and the one that's doing the best, is that back one that says Ring of Fertilizer, RGGS. So that proves to me that just sticking right with what we say on RGGS, especially for corn, is perfect. It's the tallest. It's already got some ears that are pollinated. You can see the brown silks are pollinated. Next in line for the best are the 2 here in the front that get compost tea weekly. But if you're on my group page, you know that I did come in after a month and added half strength, or half amount rather, of fertilizer to the compost tea bags. That bi-weekly one behind it is second in line, although we lost one stalk in a very, very high wind about 3 weeks ago. And the worst one is the one that's getting the earth juice. In fact, it doesn't even look like it's going to live, those 4 stalks. So that's what we've got going on with the corn. Experiments, that's what they're for.
At this point, we moved up on to the next section of gardens, and I talked about the things that were planted there and even suggested some certain winter squashes to plant. I mentioned Georgia Candy Roaster. Some of them were very interested in that. Here are some images, some more images of companion plants that I have in grow bags on the ground. There's butternut winter squash. I actually have 2 different varieties of those planted. And a beautiful little bee landed on some basil, which is actually interplanted with a pepper plant there. This is a row of bush beans and some peppers. And the beautiful bush beans. Most of my basil that is planted within the containers is a dwarf variety. I have let it flower because, again, it draws in the pollinators. Jalapenos there. And in that bucket I have some beautiful zinnias surrounded by some calendula. Several herbs here and a few little flowers. This is a gutter of bush beans and peppers. Mexican marigold planted there, and a beautiful bee balm. I've really noticed a lot more pollinators in the garden this year, and I know it's because of the companion planting. There's the back side of the border that we built, the planter box, in this garden. On this row we have okra and zipper creams. That is some turmeric right there, which later on we dug up for some folks. And some more black-eyed peas, along with some muskmelons.
These are zipper cream cowpeas. They're a bush type. This is, anybody know? Turmeric. It is. And I intended, if anybody wanted to take any turmeric roots home, I'd be happy to dig some up, let you have them, would anybody like? Okay. We'll dig a few up.
At this point, we'd been out there about an hour, so we came inside to enjoy the things that I had baked for everyone. That was some baklava there. And some graham cracker crunchy cookies and mini cheesecake. Some fresh fruit. And a flower arrangement that I did from a lot of cut flowers in the yard. I think they enjoyed it. I know I did.
Which was nice, but that garden is gone because eventually this is where my greenhouse is going to go. I mentioned that we would talk about that. I know this is a weird looking garden that just kind of sticks out. Well, that's because there used to be a fence there for where our other garden was. But right back here, we are going to build a greenhouse that is, I don't remember the size. I want to say it's around 14 inches deep.
Feet.
14 feet deep by how?
20.
20. So it's going to be a pretty good size. But we are using old windows that we have been saving from here and there, you know, like the salvage places. But what was really cool to me was a couple years ago when we were at home, my mom mentioned that she still had some old church windows from my church I grew up in. It was renovated in the 80s, and she had done the renovation, and they had saved a few of the stained glass windows.
Oh, wow.
And so we had them. And it's actually from 1925 when that church was built. And it's kind of that standard white, yellow stained glass. So we've got a bunch of those, and there's one that's an arch, you know, well, what do you call that? Half circle. So it's kind of going to be on a freestanding thing at the front. So we have, and my husband, not my husband, my son is an architect, lives in Michigan, and when we were up there visiting, he sketched some things out for us and gave us a nice idea of how to combine all our elements and colors and such. So that's going to be our major project. So somehow I'm going to be tying in this landscape bed. We're going to be adding additional rock around there because it drops off over by his grill. So it looks really rough right now because he cut out the bank. He did a whole lot of big equipment work over the last few months in here. But I tell you what, it's hard to fight water. And that's the issue that we've had. The last huge rainstorm we had where we had that 5 inches like overnight, it came right through here. See all that sand? It just washed right through here. So we did bury a French drain when we were working on this, but I think we're going to have to continue. We didn't go far enough. We just used what we had. But maybe that will help.
Yeah, do your chickens like
The waterer?
yeah,
They do, but the rooster is stupid and can't figure out how to use it. Dumbest rooster ever.
Plus you guys have refreshments.
I know. She's talking about you.
So. About 18 weeks, if I'm remembering correctly. Isn't that right?
18, 20 weeks.
Yeah. So we built this little hatchie shack, this first thing. We intended for it to be one of those tractors that on wheels that you could move around and, you know, free range. Randy doesn't build anything lightweight. That sucker was so heavy, and we put it on little wheels, and we had it over there in the shed. Moving it, the wheels broke off. We got logs and started doing the Roman method. We did not have our pumpkin, which is the ATV. We only had our lawnmower, a riding lawnmower. So I was on the stupid riding lawnmower while Randy's manipulating these logs, trying to get it back up and into the road. So it is not a mobile thing. Well, after we did that and they hatched the chickens, we then realized, well, that's not very much room for little chickens to run around. Plus, it's not very tall. So it was more construction, and then we added the juvenile hall next to it, and they have plenty of room. And then my husband has a bad habit of when the chickens are broody, which means they want to have chickens. He let 2 hens sit on eggs at the same, their own eggs. Well, that's a problem. So we added the Hatchy Shack suite on the other side and had 1 hen on this end and 1 hen on that end, and had a board in between so they wouldn't fight and come.
You just planted those flowers and they grew like that? Those flowers in that planter on
Oh no, those, I'm talking about the little planter box behind it. It actually has
behind.
clematis growing up, but the
Okay.
one that with the solar light on top,
Okay.
we had made that.
Thanks for watching our garden tour. And remember, bye and have a good one.